So my protection. Live stream, access, TV, radio.
Yeah, we're live and live.
Morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Weyburn Chamber of Commerce Municipal All Candidates Forum. And my name is Reed Davis, past president of the Weyburn Chamber of Commerce. I first would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on treaty 4 territory, and we are on traditional lands referred to as, the original lands of the Cree, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, and the whole land of the Métis Nation. I would like to thank all candidates for participation in this forum. Running for the municipal election is a very admirable venture, and the Chamber would like to thank you for your commitment. In addition, we would like to thank our partners and assets for providing community programming for this event. You can watch the recording May 24th, 26th, and 29th at 7 p.m. I'd like to thank Cleo for music craft for the production of sound. Thank you. And thank you to those who are in attendance in person and joining us virtually. Those that are joining virtually, if you have a question to pose to the candidates, please add it into the chat box. Our moderator today is Stephen Wilson of Golden West Radio, and our timekeeper is Monica Osborne from the Chamber. I would now like to hand the microphone over to our moderator. I guess he's got his own, so he should be good.
Thanks, Reed. So we'll now move on to the forum. To start the forum off, I'll pose prepared questions to the candidates on behalf of the Weyburn Chamber of Commerce members. Earlier this morning, under the supervision of a third party, the Chamber administration assigned randomly generated numbers to each candidate, and for each question, the corresponding numbers were drawn by hand. This method was used to determine the order in which candidates will answer the questions. Candidates will be given 1 minute to respond to each question. They will remain seated for their response. At the conclusion of these questions, candidates will take questions posed to the public. The same methodology will apply to those. Candidates will be given 1 minute to respond to each question. Questions from the public have been received in advance via email. In addition, questions are being received live via Zoom. So if you are watching online and wish to ask a question, submit it into the chat box. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the candidates for Weyburn City Council in alphabetical order. Larry Hayes, Dana Pretzer, Trevor Teskey, Brandon Kuczkowski. Now each candidate will have an opportunity to respond to all the questions posed by the Weyburn Chamber of Commerce board and members. Our first question: what is your first goal to achieve as a councillor if elected? And we'll begin with Brandon Kuczkowski.
As an elected representative, I will work hard going through our budget and various city departments to fine-tooth comb to find areas where we could save money, look at other jurisdictions to see what methods and innovations they can use so we can be more efficient with our spending and reduce taxes. As an elected representative, I will work hard to make the Spark Center more accessible to people in our community, for example, voting for community members, and I'll work hard to have an in-depth conversation with community members and businesses in the community to make a list of concerns so we can create solutions to make Weyburn an even more attractive place to live and do business.
Thank you. Next is Dana Pretzer.
I think it's important to remember that you're elected as one of 7 representatives for the city of Weyburn as a decision maker. Not a lone wolf, not somebody to come in and all of a sudden you're gonna make all the changes yourself. But I think what's a good goal is to be the representative for the people that have elected you, all the citizens, all the people of Weyburn. Doesn't matter who they are. And then to work as a common group, the 7 of you to make the decisions that are appropriate and work best for everyone involved.
Yeah, Bill, everything's.
Thank you. My first priority would be to review the new strategic growth plan that the city has, ensuring that all the people that needed to be at the table were at the table, be it seniors, be it recreation, youth, new Canadians, have the opportunity to make sure that the city gets it right. We can think from a city perspective that we have a projected plan. I would suggest that it's the citizens and the residents who will create the best plan. That said, I would also pressure the city, additional to the administration, for up to another additional $100,000 for the next 4 years regarding road improvements in the community. I know some projects have been pushed off for varying reasons, but I do think that there's a standard there that city residents are used to, that currently is.
And now, Mr. Trevor, that's it.
Thank you. I want to make a special mention to my family who is supporting me strongly during this campaign. It is no one person effort. My family has been so dedicated to helping me through this. I did want to give a special mention to Dick Mickle, who is helping with advice and guidance through this process. A number of counselors previously who have guided me with different courses and things I should do, even prior to this, who are the people of Weyburn who supported me. So when I went door to door and talked to different people and different businesses, I hear snow removal, road repair, bi-weekly garbage pickup. But at the end of the day, what we need to do is cut the red tape for business development. When I talk to the business community, they talk about zoning changes, they talk about the different costs and licenses. We need to cut that red tape, and that would be my first goal. And we would need everyone on board for that, so that we can streamline processes and make Weyburn the place that's chosen as opposed to Regina or Estivan.
Thank you for those answers. Now move on to the next question. With respect to economic development in the city, what are the greatest opportunities and challenges over the next 2 years? And what should the role of the local government be regarding economic development efforts? And we'll begin with Trevor Tessier.
Sure. So some of the challenges that are going to be posed on our city in the next coming years are higher costs to get cash. Our interest rates are going up. New families are going to have to pay more, seniors and businesses. We need to combat that. The other one is our competing interest with our we need to have a plan as we grow Weyburn and expand beyond city boundaries, that we can move into the RM and encourage growth at more of a city level. Look at different cities across the state, Swift Current, Yorkton. They're working on those things. Some ways I can see us doing that. We don't need to go into debt to get cash. We are missing out on federal, provincial grants that are available to Weyburn because we're a small municipality and we're not seeking them out. The second thing is that there's partnerships when you get to the city this size with the RM that we need to start pursuing and working hand in hand. Even when I was talking door to door to members in this community, some of them were asking me, why can't the RM go? And I think we should be able to.
Now, Mr. Larry.
Thank you. The challenge to this particular question is we probably talk about attraction, retention, or expansion, we talk about economic development. Some of these topics I'll cover off in the questions, I'll really touch on one. First off, I would suggest that we need to strengthen and continue communication with very people in this Chamber of Commerce. We need people, the city needs to hire people, in general, the community needs people, we need staff. For credentials, we need to pressure the municipality as a whole to ensure locally, the provincial government, ensuring that credentials are recognized by the provincial government regularly. The last piece is we need to know our strengths and weaknesses in the community. Economic development is a competitive market and it needs to be treated with sense. If you you have for the community and what the business community needs, they will come. It's about creating that business friendly environment. Great.
Now you're president.
For the past 2 years, almost 3 years, living through something we call COVID, economic development, recruitment, retention of employees, and just being able to pay your bills has been difficult. In some cases, not impossible. We have to try and recover through that, to get through that, and it all needs people. People, workers, the government put a cap on immigration. A lot of small business relies on immigration for their employees, and now we have to get those back. The small business owners are working crazy hours. So economic development is the people who go out and buy the product, and the businesses that are there to sell it, and we'll get back to where we were. It's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, the last word on this question, right, please.
Thank you. With the area that we have access to resources that not a lot of communities have access to. We need to find ways to be able to take advantage of those resources that we have and help use them to establish a community in a stronger area, a stronger light. I believe that all of us as running mates will pretty well agree with the same thing, that we need to find innovations, we need to find solutions, and we're willing to work hard. I'm willing to put in the time and the effort that it takes. I'll put in 18-hour days in order to find the solutions. We are faced with higher taxes, bad regulations, inflation, and these are all issues that affect everybody at every level. We need to find innovative solutions, new ideas. We have to get past the status quo, and sometimes we kind of fall into in order to propel our community to a better place and be more effective more effective and competitive with other communities. We have a great community here. We need to continue to push to have that compete at that level.
Thank you. Our next question. What do you believe to be the top 3 challenges of small businesses in our city, and how might you, as an elected official, address them? And we begin with Larry Hicks.
I think firstly, the biggest piece for that is retention. We have a shortage of workers. There's 393 jobs and test jobs today. We need to ensure that those people, that employment happens. And I think there's an opportunity to partner with business, chamber, economic development, to have that discussion, to do a recruitment, to do a general recruitment of career fairs, whether that be within the communities, whether that be within the city, and if the province is not placed, or maybe even around the world to attract the business and help fill those jobs. That's probably the biggest challenge that we face once I raised this.
And Charlie Tessie.
Sure. So the biggest challenge I feel is that our businesses are strong here. We have good businesses. We have good people in those businesses, but they have limited options when they're coming to council, when they're getting denied. So sometimes the businesses are trying to get their approval processes gone through, and then we're getting things like denials or delays on that. We need to provide options to these businesses so they know the differences that they could get if there were a denial there. Other things is our local business community is losing the ability to compete in all of Southeast. So the businesses around here are considering alternate options like SCAT or Regina. I've talked to many businesses when I've gone door to door, and they've chosen alternates like Regina and SCAT to expand to as opposed to Weyburn. And the last but not least is our approach, is that I think when we're at a city council level, we have to ask ourselves not what regulation and red tape we're putting forward, but how do we help that business meet their goals?
And Jason.
So talking to various businesses in the community, we're kind of beating a dead horse on high taxes, opposing regulations, abnormal amounts of fees, slow permit processes. I know with working with government and the various levels I do construction, going through the permitting process, it seems like the permitting process is getting lengthened and lengthened and lengthened. there's added fees being added in that, everybody's trying to find ways to pay for the costs that we're incurring because of taxes and inflation and whatnot. But we need to try and work together to find these solutions, to streamline these processes, to help businesses grow and overcome these hurdles that we face day to day. And it's going to take, a willingness, take an extra time, take an extra effort, and work together and not complain and pointing fingers, but get past the difficulties we face in order to find those solutions.
And the final answer to this question is okay,
I touched on it on my last answer, but again, it's recruitment and retention of employees. It's a big immigrant population that we have now, and those immigrants are working, but it's been difficult for them to be able to get their work visas or state master visas. And if we're able to put a little pressure as a city on the provincial government, and whoever, to maybe relax some of those visa requirements, and we can get the people in there to work. The people have the money, they can go, they can buy the product, but the people that are selling that product need to have the workers, because we're burning out our business owners. They're just working too many hours. I want to see more businesses open than businesses closed, and those are some of the challenges.
Thank you. Our next question. What would be your solution to ensure the businesses are provided with a streamlined process during permitting and approvals and begin paying a price?
You know, we've all talked about it here, and we've all mentioned the red tape. Well, if we could just eliminate red tape, I think we'd have more problems than we would have good. But however, it's difficult with costs. The costs of these permitting processes have to be looked at. Maybe they can be a waiver of the cost per year. We need to make it easier for those businesses that are wanting to start, to be able to start and not be rejected because of this reason or that reason. It's something that 7 of us can sit down and talk about. You can't make this decision all by yourself. There's no individual authority, but 7 of you sit down and you say, okay, we got to make this a little bit easier. What do we do? When have the permitting process, when has it been reviewed? Those sorts of things we need to look at.
Yeah, thank you. And then
So as an elected representative, I'll work hard. Let's look through our process and find what the bottlenecks and redundant procedures are that are slowing down our community approval processes. I'll work towards having permits in people's hands in a quicker timeline. There should not be delays for receiving permits and approvals. I talked with one person, they were asked for a permit to put their a chair and table out front of the business for their those who come into the store, and they still have not received the permit, and that was weeks ago. As a business owner and working in the area, I've seen these headaches, and it slows up and it frustrates people, and then jobs stand and get pushed back, which means less money putting back into your community. And these little things need to be looked at and given priority because they affect our community in ways that we don't always realize.
and now Mr. Tessie.
So the businesses I'm talking to, sometimes they'll first send an email, and when the business sends that email, they'll be given a form. Fill out this form to start your business. One of the things I think with that is we need to track that process from the time of email as opposed to the time of form, because that business is already ready at the time of email to start their business. So with that traffic, we need data on how long it's taking for our businesses to get their license approved and to start to provide to people of Weyburn. 2, get a business development officer in. As soon as that business sends that email, they should have someone they can talk to so that that person can guide them through the process and make sure they have everything in place to get it done and move on to that next stage. And 3rd is that the business problem is isolated to the business environment of Weyburn. We need to share this information with the community so they realize how long it's taking businesses to start, because it is leading to issues, but it's only felt by the business community.
And the final answer from Mr. Harris.
Thank you. I genuinely believe the answer to this question is service standards. If we have a permit application process that doesn't allow for an expedient turnaround, I might suggest 1 of 2 things are happening. one divided got too much red tape, or not enough people. The economic development department of Weyburn is truly the welcome wagon of business. It's attraction, it's retention, it's expansion, it's all of those things. Second to that, I would suggest that the meat part of the process with it, and probably with that staff development, these people are workers. They do work very hard. So I would suggest this, that the applicant have an opportunity to speak with somebody as they pick up the application. These are business owners, they have the project in mind, they don't necessarily understand the regulations and the bylaws that are required to get the job done. So I think if you help them in that regard, you have a higher success rate.
Thank you. How would you ensure that Weyburn is business friendly, and what can the city of Weyburn best do to support existing businesses? And we'll begin with Brandon Hitchcock.
As an elected representative, foremost, have an open door policy to make sure that there's always an ongoing relationship with business owners and community members in order to provide the most competitive opportunities for new and existing businesses in Weyburn. It is so important that as a representative, we take the initiative to talk to community members, to business members, so that we hear the concerns of our members, because they don't always have the time. Sometimes you get frustrated because the processes are getting held up and they just give up. We need to make sure we take an active role and initiate those conversations, get into the business, go and sit down and have coffee in their boardrooms, in their offices, at the table, so that those concerns aren't just falling to the wayside, so that we can continue to provide an attractive community for businesses and people to want to move here and live here and have a fun-filled life here in Weyburn.
Mr. Peter,
Well, you need to sell it. You need to sell it to the people, you need to sell it in the stores, you need to involve the Chamber of Commerce, you need to involve the people. For years, living in this community was always, well, we don't have a shoe store. And we don't have this, we don't have alcohol now, but we need to sell it. The people in the Chamber of Commerce, the businesses, the city of Weyburn, they do a great job selling it. A lot of people don't know. There's a movie theater that's going to be built here just down the street next door to us. A lot of people don't realize that that's coming. So what we do is we involve everyone. We get everyone talking and we sell it. And that goes right from the person that's buying to the person that is selling it and to the city and to the government who's promoting.
now Mr. Hicks.
Thank you. For a business-friendly environment, I don't think we have to look any further than people in this room, the economic development, Weyburn Chamber of Commerce, business people, residents, those will be the people that show you the direction that's needed to create a business-friendly environment. Business just simply wants to do business. Now, I do realize the business revitalization program that's out there. I was part of it. I helped build that process. As I've been around on the campaign trail, I've heard from Canada, from other residents in the community, it probably does need some work. Now, you heard me say more than once today that good policy does need to be reviewed, and this is one that probably should be looked at to help with that business friendly environment.
And final word on this question, Mr. Trevor.
Thanks. So last year I was part of a forum called Action Canada, where we went around to different places in Canada to see what policies, what procedures, and what are they doing differently than we are. And it was supported by local leaders here to help go. With that, the biggest one that comes up to mind, cut the red tape. Our business community is strong. We have good people. They can get more stuff done if they have that red tape cut. 2, market Weyburn. Weyburn has so many strengths, and this is the best community in Saskatchewan to live in for new families and businesses. We just need to make sure our province realizes that on both our province level, national and international level. And the third is, businesses are considering going to Regina and Espen because they have more businesses close to them. They have a bigger community and they can get the resources and tools they need right there. We need more businesses here. We need to support them. We need to open our doors and make sure they realize that Weyburn is the best place in Saskatchewan to do business and raise a family.
Our next question. The city of Weyburn is currently undergoing a strategic plan. Given the focuses of economy, growth, community, and governance, what will be your priorities to put these into action? And we begin with Mr. Commissioner Tessier.
You know, these are 4 priorities: economy, growth, community, and government. It all boils down to good governance. Good governance and having that perspective from the community, from new families to seniors to families who are just letting their kids off to university. That's important in council, so that when we look at what we need to do as a city, that perspective is brought to light. So doubling down on the governance and that red tape cutting is extremely important. Because if we can do that and allow more people to have businesses and work through that process, economy, growth, and community will come. Because it starts with good business, then we get our community and volunteer organizations bolstered, and then we can keep growing later.
Thanks. When it comes to a particular strategic growth plan, I would suggest this, that the right people need to be there. We need to ensure that business community is there, seniors are there, recreational users are there, youth, new Canadians, they all have to be at the table to ensure that that plan is heading in the right direction. That said, it's sort of a 2-part piece. It's one thing to build a plan, secondly, to roll it out. And that might have challenge the harder piece. We need to express that communication to the community as a whole, so they understand that every business, every resident in this community plays a critical role in the community's economic growth and prosperity. And we need to continue that, and that the strategic plan is just the beginning of that. Yeah, that's it.
A strategic plan sometimes is only as good as the paper is written on unless you do something about it. And you involve the people, the governments, the federal government, and the provincial governments, all like to brag about 0.3% growth in India. It starts with a 0, and that's not correct. It's still 0, no matter how you look at it. So we have an increase of 0.3%. No, we gotta get that higher than that. So we get a plan, we develop it, and then we sell it. We get everyone involved, just like Larry said, all the people involved, new Canadians, local people, business, chambers, police, and you name it, everyone is involved with 0.3 and bragging about it, that's not acceptable.
Brandon, discuss.
That's, we lost Sal. That's. Is there a mic on the camera? No. That's. Don't hang the sound guy, sometimes these things are out of control. I've done sound before, and it's always unnerving when you get 30 people looking at you, what the heck's going on? It's all right, Cleo, we still love you.
Something changed on my board.
Yes.
Let me just
We're
run
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, Venus is on. Yes. We might have to pass the mic then. Yes. Yes. No. Is yours on there? Yes. So just David. I was wondering, is that mic plugged still too?
I'm not gonna have a long enough word.
No, it's on the board. It's on the board.
I'm gonna use it.
Oh, it's not bad
Now it's on now.
Just when I thought I was gonna be able to make a point. It's not me, I swear.
It's okay, your time has.
Yeah, it's test. You wanna test that mic right there? See if that's on. Is yours on? Steve? No. We lost. Oh, there we go. Are we good to go? So, thanks for you. Regarding the strategic plan, there's focuses on economy, growth, community, and governance. We've gone over various levels of economy. We all realize the issues there with growth. Weyburn has seen some growth, and it's climbed as we've seen through various communities. I want to talk about governance though. Who here likes to read through policy and procedure and one person? 2, I'm one of those people that love to read through policy procedure. As I was on the school board, I some strange reason, I found I enjoyed it thoroughly. And with that, I'm able to go through hours and hours of policy, look through the details and find where there's hiccups that causes our community, that cause our community harm and not causing it able to springboard forward and see the growth that we need. A person needs to be able to have experience at various levels of it. I have experience in government, I have experience with business, and with that, I believe I bring an opportunity that others don't necessarily bring as effectively.
Thank you. As an ongoing contentious topic for the past 10 years, the on-site development levy bylaw is due to be reviewed this upcoming year. What changes should be made to make Weyburn more competitive amongst other municipalities? And we'll begin with Mr. Hayes.
Thank you. First off, anybody who believes that good policy is written and put up on a shelf somewhere and forgotten about is sadly mistaken. It doesn't work that way. This is an extremely competitive policy. This policy has far-reaching implications to the community. The community has no control over it. It's about marketing piece, it's competitiveness to the province regionally and nationwide, I might suggest. Secondarily, this policy was never, the business community has never asked for the policy to be torn up, thrown away. That's not what they've asked for. They've asked for a fair and equitable platform to do business. And I might suggest that that's what every city council should wish for across the country, is to be fair and equitable to both residents and business. Weyburn Market is competitive. We need to ensure that, we need to review that policy. I would suggest that there be some type of a review panel or arbitration to allow for clear and transparent answers to any situations that might arise.
Mr. Chair, Tessie.
A business development levy tax it can be used strategically in high economic growth times, or it can be, or if it's used in low economic growth times, it can actually be extremely detrimental. So with the business development levy tax, we have to consider who we're competing against in this market right now. We're competing against Regina, we're competing against Eston, we're competing against Carlisle, and we need a process and develop business development levy that's going to encourage businesses without limiting what we can do. So how I would go about doing that? One, a hearing process. There is businesses that we want and people here demand. Shoe store is a good one, and Danny is a good example. Two, high activity. We may not be in a high activity or economic place right now in Weyburn, and it may lead to issues with encouraging businesses when others are using other strategies to bring them in. And the third is that we just have to be mindful that our business development levy is a tool that it can really discourage businesses or encourage, depending on what we do with this policy.
Mr. Brandon, please, guys.
So as you can see, sometimes we can have issues that are unexpected, just like the sound going out. As an elected representative, one of the first changes I'm going to make is to change how costs projected so that we are not caught holding a bigger bill when costs start to balloon. I feel the method used to determine these costs are ineffective. We need to use a different method in order to get more accurate and most current cost projections. Even the best laid plans can fall to the wayside, and you have to be able to think on your feet and move towards a solution that is best suited for our community and draw on all the resources that we have. A lot of times people will freeze, panic. We have to be able to look at all the solutions with wisdom and with knowledge and make the best decision possible for our community.
And the final word on this question, Mr. Davis.
The way I understand the bylaw, and first of all, I want to be 100% clear, it does need to be reviewed, is that it was put in to prevent strain on infrastructure. The city has to be fiscally prudent, but also all I had to do is do a simple Google search and you can read case after case after case of people who have come to ask that be waived. They want to start something, but yet they can't afford that money. And it's bottom line. It's been on the books for 10 years, whatever it's been. It's time to look at it. It's time to redo it, change it, but involve everybody. Involve all the shareholders and take a look at it. But right now, I think it's time for change.
Thank you. Now, for the final question being posed for this forum by the University Chamber of Commerce. Weyburn will soon be getting a new hospital. How do you propose to help make Weyburn a more attractive place for medical professionals? We begin with Mr. Dana Presser.
I think it's so important, first of all, you want to sell that we got a new hospital. It's going to be all the equipment, it's the people that have gone and worked hard, all the shareholders, the fundraisers, you name it, it's here. But I'll share a quick story of another committee that I'm on. And at the time, we were bringing in people from Syria, and we were providing labor housing. We were providing homes for them. And what happened after a while is they left. It's because there was no community for them. So those healthcare professionals, I'm talking a Syrian community, those healthcare professionals need to see our schools, the best that there is, our communities, our businesses, everything, and our churches. And no matter what faith they are, listen, if you're a new doctor, if you're a new nurse, you're coming to Weyburn, great. The province wants to spend the money and encourage them, and they need to spend more, but we need to show them that they're going to be welcome no matter where they're from here in Weyburn.
Mr. Brendan Kitchkowski.
So as an elected representative, I will work hard to create an incentive package to help make the community more attractive for medical professionals to move to. Example, free passes to the Spark Center, Weyburn Red Wings, annual forum fair and such, as well as to create a program with local businesses that will offer products or services in exchange for free advertising or something of that nature. I'll also have conversations with the various proponents that are involved in hiring and finding medical staff, and personally help to recruit new medical workers. When I lived in Weyburn, we had a gentleman who was a neighbor, Ronald Jones is his name, and he actually flown around to different communities around the world to try and recruit doctors. At this day and age, everybody is short of medical staff in various other areas, and we all need to get on board to try and help them and find solutions to find people and bring them into the community and show them the great things that our community has to offer, like new schools, like the church we have, like the Spark Center, and then also create incentives and work together to find innovative ways to do that.
Mr. Trevor.
Obviously, this question is very near and dear to my heart with this for our healthcare teams. But with that, what it boils down to is the person. There's a person coming to our community. It could be from the Philippines, it could be from India, it could be from Iran. And what we need to do as a community to support that is highlight the benefits of Weyburn. You think that one of the things that stand out to me and my family, when we came to Weyburn, there was a young fellow's centennial celebration. It was a concert in the park. It honestly gave a spark to Weyburn post-COVID. We need more of that. We need to give our community and volunteer organizations support through federal and provincial grants so they can continue to do what they're good at. And then that will support, they'll stay, they'll join, and then we're not saying, hey, you know, we got this shiny new hospital. We're saying, no, we have these community organizations, and this is how you can be a part of Weyburn and part of our health team.
And final word on this topic, Mr. Mary.
Thank you. First off, we need to, similarly to what everyone else has said, we need to entrench not only the new professional, we need to entrench that family in the community. We need to understand the local community, the local culture. That's one piece of it. One of the largest issues that I've heard over the years is we lose a lot of doctors due to the fact of the emergency room on-call piece that they're forced to do as general practitioners here in Weyburn. I would look to a growth plan, and I know that one of the growth plan fits into healthcare, but if we are able to increase our residents in the community at a given point in population, the province hires actual emergency room doctors, thereby increasing the ability for us to retain the doctors we have.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to questions that have been posed from the general public in advance of today's forum. Now, for those of you who are at home who wish to submit a question, use the chat box on Zoom. Our first question is, what is your plan to provide a welcoming atmosphere for newcomers in our community? And we begin with Mr. Trevor Tessier.
Excellent question. Me and my new family, my wife's in the back, I agree with you. she's from Mexico. You know, what we have to do as a community is go to these organizations. There's the Weyburn Biology Society, there's our Philippine community. We as a council and city need to go to them. We don't have them free tickets, we don't give them those sorts of things. We need to integrate ourselves into them and show them value first. If we show them value first, then they will consider, okay, what about a hockey game? What about these things? And I think that's extremely important for new families when they're coming here. The second thing is, give them a resource or tool, so then people can know where to go and where things are. When we first came here to Weyburn, there was no welcome wagon, there was none of those things. And since COVID, some of those things have dipped off. And those were the strength in Weyburn, and we need to get those back into the light, so that when new families come here, they have these resources and tools, so they amalgamate into a community right away. And then,
Now, Mr. Dana Price.
One of my points, my 10-point platform is inclusion for everyone. And we go to them, they come to us, we show them that they're welcome. Trevor mentioned welcome wagon, that dates you a little bit, even though you look like you're still in high school, it dates you a little bit, because Weyburn needs a welcome, but we need to be able to welcome the immigrants from wherever they are. We'll go to their church, they come to ours, we come to our stores, we go to their function. It's just that simple. Inclusion for everyone, and if we can do that, then we'll be a much better city.
Thanks. We have everything that we need to offer in the community. It's about making sure that those people have the opportunity to see it, to get out to it. I would suggest that we are a welcoming community, great residents, wonderful business community. Those are all things with, we've got some great service clubs, young fellows, Rotary, all those types of clubs, Kingsmen, that do great things in the community. We just need to ensure that those people that move as new residents to the community, and they don't have to be from foreign country. Our culture and our events can somewhat be different. So I would suggest that we do strongly reach out to them, building on that community, our great community that we have.
And Mr. Brandon Kuchowski.
So I look forward to helping our community and rally our community to be as supportive as possible to our new members, whether they're from India or from Penguin or from Ogama. We have traditionally had a small town feel. You wave at the person as you're driving by, you say hi, and usually we're known for that in Canada. We need to make sure that we stay up on that. I think through COVID, people kind of moved back and became a little bit reclusive. We need to move forward and helping being welcoming to everybody in every kind of community and be open to new ideas and food. I love it when I get to experience a little bit of Filipino food or Indian food. It brings a new understanding and idea of the different ideas that are out there. And personally, I'm willing to go and meet the new people as they move in the community and welcome them and shake their hand and have picnics. And we need to create all these different events of the welcoming committee, having street block parties and stuff in order to welcome new members into our community and make them feel like they have a place that they live.
Our next question goes to the public. What is your plan to help attract people so that they can begin this their case?
Thanks. I think from an attraction perspective, we sort of touched on that already. There are opportunities through, be it through Weyburn Chamber, economic development, business community as a whole. There is an opportunity for us to build a collective group that would reach out to try to help build those 400+ jobs that are on SAS jobs today. Build on that and get just a community attraction piece, whether that be from a regional area, provincially, if not nationally for sure, to attract people there. We've got affordable housing, we've got lots of jobs, we've got good infrastructure. We need to make sure that collectively we reach out and create that environment.
Mr. Chair, Tessie.
I think our city has so much good things to offer, and I think it is the best city in Saskatchewan, but our focus has been placed on government structures, Spark Center, when you think of the theater. We have to go back to our basics on our community and volunteer organizations. We can get new federal and provincial grants to those organizations. It'll highlight some of the benefits we have as a city, and have our community doing it with us. As opposed to just investing tax dollars into these structures we're building, our community organizations will help lead the way on what we can do moving forward. So that would be one of my plans. The second is marketing. We are not marketing well right now, what Weyburn has to offer. And when people are considering it, we have to make sure that we're getting out there, going to the events and stuff. And we've only experienced this during the COVID slump, but we just got to get back to our basics that we did for Weyburn, such as the welcome wagon and our advertising of what we have to offer here.
Mr. Brandon, discuss.
Could you read the question?
What is your plan to help attract people to live in Weyburn?
So we have a lot of great programs in Weyburn. We have a successful football program, we have great hockey programs, dance, we have an amazing media community with theater and whatnot. We just had the Regina Symphony Orchestra in the library. We need to continue to focus on these programs that give various people opportunities to be involved in our community. We need to help push them and these to thrive and to expand even into other areas. One of the things I would personally like to see is a theater program building in our community. We do have the Covenant Center, but with the relationship there, we don't have full access to the building. So I would love to see an arts center where our arts community can have full access to that. And there's other areas that I believe we can expand and grow and do well with, and really use those to attract people and families into our community.
And Mr. Vina,
I believe we're already on the opportunity city, and this is something that we need to, again, sell. We have the best schools, the best businesses, we have a new hospital, we have a new theater, the people are great, we're diverse, we have a cultural community, we have an inclusive community, and it's something that can be done. We can get out there and we can show, and the chamber has done that, we can show the people, this is a great place to come to. We've been ranked as one of the best places to come to, and we just have to keep doing that. The damn COVID screwed us up for a couple of years, but we can come back from that. And we can straighten ourselves out, and we can start getting people back into Weyburn and make us that opportunity city.
thank you. If you are not elected in this by-election, will you be putting your name forward for the 2024 municipal election? And we'll begin with the applicant.
Absolutely. 100%. I spent my whole life in this community serving as a police officer, as a school trustee, as chairman of the board of the school division, on the Weyburn Housing Committee, early childhood intervention. I like helping people. I like serving people. And if I don't make it this time, you're gonna be stuck with me again next time.
Mr. Brandon, discuss.
Yes, I have been involved coaching hockey, football, I've been doing sound at the school, working on the school board. I am associate pastor at a local church. I've also owned a business, and I've also worked as an employee. My kids have grown up here for half their childhood, and one is getting married this summer, and I'd like to be involved in this community in various ways, and always looking for new ways, and time to learn as well.
Sure.
Thanks. This question is always one that I would love to answer because it's not just me answering this question. This is my family answering this question. And I had this opportunity to run this by-election due to how we were able to have this time. So the things I'd ask myself is, my son's going to be going into preschool. What is that going to look like? How busy is he going to be? What soccer practice is he in? What swim is he in? I have to ask myself that question. And then, are we going to have another child? But you know what? One of the things I do know is that I want to support Weyburn for the long term. If those are in line, 100% yes. I want to run for Weyburn and make sure this is the best city in Saskatchewan and stays that way. We should not have had that slump with COVID, and we just need to get back to some of the things we used to do very, very well to highlight our community as the best.
And Mr. Larry Hayes.
Thanks. Yes, I mean, the answer to that question is yes. Whether I'm elected or not elected, I will run next time. I'm a long-term resident of the community, been part of it, love being involved in the community. It's absolutely something I take a lot of pride in, my duration and spend time with my family and the community. I would suggest this, that 18 months is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the it's unfortunate circumstances that you move on this by-election form. It's not about, barely what you're doing, to be honest.
Thank you. Next question. Candidates have been campaigning on the need of more transparency with administration and council. What are some examples when there was a lack of transparency? And what is your strategy to increase transparency? We begin with Mr. Brendan Kuchkowski.
For my transparency is always a vital role of having good government. If the people of the community don't understand what's going on at the government level, it gets frustrating when a person just deactivates. You can see that in our voting results when the voter turnout is being dismal. I'm not entirely sure the complete process. I was surprised actually how much the town council has put out and made available compared to the school board. I was constantly asking if we could have more involvement in where people are allowed to be a part of what's going on, and that there's closed session and there's open session during government discussion. One of the things I was standing up for is that we have to limit how much discussion we have in closed sessions. We need to put more of what we're talking about in the decision made in open session so that people can have an understanding and see what's actually going on in the processes that are being made and the choices that we make at the government level. And there's a lot of times where those decisions aren't made public. Why?
Mr. Davis.
First off, I'll set the record straight. I'm not on the campaign on transparency. I believe the government allows for a certain amount of transparency to the public. Let's be honest, they make decisions in those closed council rooms that affect that we can't share. I mean, those are decisions that affect our ability to compete in the marketplace, our ability for property, taxation. So I would suggest that that's number one. Second to that piece is that it's about communication. I think when I hear the word transparency, yeah, it's about communication. It's understanding that if there is something relevant in those closed council rooms that happens, that you get shared with the rest of the community as a whole. Transparency itself, I think, is just sort of a hot buzzword that you can use, and I'm not sure that you have to understand it.
Mr. Dana.
One of my platform points is transparency. I say we're talked about lots, but we're not quite there yet. And anyone that has served on a role or in a role on a board or committee, or there are some things that are discussed in camera that you just can't discuss. But I'm talking about, and I think Larry mentioned it, is communication, is being able to talk to someone from City Hall, or being able to get your question answered, or being able to say, the roads suck, what are you guys gonna do about it? And get an answer back, not some, and I hate to use the term double talk about this grant and that grant, we're waiting for this, we're waiting for that. Bottom line is just like driving to go past some of these streets, and they need to be fixed. So when that person comes and tells me that, they should be able to go to City Hall and ask that same question. Ask their city councilor, ask the city manager, and get that response. That's what transparency needs to be.
And Mr. Tarantino.
I reflect back on going to the council meeting a couple of weeks ago with my son. I brought him there, he's 2 years old, and he went to council, and they supported us. They even gave him a bag of cookies. That's kind of what we need to do. We need to make City Hall, and I think to some extent it's already there, a place for all. It's there, the City Hall building is only developed because the people here. So with that, some of the things I would give the ability for is more open forums. Get more perspective from our community members so that they can share some of their concerns. Two is our relationship with the media. When I've been going to meet with our community organizations, sometimes the media is saying one thing, but the actual result is actually quite a bit different. So I think we have to develop that media relationship so we have the right information getting to the people of Weyburn. And the third is that I think we need a place, I've been going for coffee in the morning with some folk and like a couple times a week. If I could do that regularly and then people would know where to chat with me at, I think that would give them the opportunity to feel more that our government is being transparent here in the city.
Thank you. What is your strategy to retain and grow small businesses? And we'll begin with Mr. Trevor Teskey.
I said this from the start, and I'm going to continue to reiterate it because I think it's one of our problems. Cut the red tape. We need the data. We need to know where we are at and when we're going to get red tape or denial of businesses, and how long it's taking those businesses and what processes they're doing for that. To think about how, with that data, where can we put ourselves in so then we as a governance body can help with that approval process. In some communities, they have fast track approvals. They have some of the residential ones not going through formal processes with the council. Some of those might add value here. And the third is being mindful of our competitors in our business environment. When a business is considering to set up shop here in Weyburn, they're considering every community in the southeast most of the time, because it's usually resource or ag based, and we really need to support those industries through allowing them a good process to get their work done.
Mr. Dana.
It's interesting when we look at this question, and we've all talked about it many times in this past hour or so. But it's recruitment, retention of employees, less pressure on the small business owner. Let's use that word that nobody likes to hear, taxes. We all got a bit scared here last time when the media, sorry, Stephen, reported what the city said, this could be almost 10%, but people went nuts. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Do we need to have and I truly think that that's a result of too many 0% years, and all of a sudden now they caught up, and now we're gonna have to spend some money. So they got the big increase, maybe we need to give them a break for a year, and get those small business owners who are also property owners paying tithes a little bit of relief. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to do, and I think it's one of the most important things we have here.
Thanks. When it comes to retention and growth, again, we only need to look around this room. We need to ensure that Weyburn Chamber of Commerce, economic development, and business community is included in that focus and that attraction to the community. It's about communication. It's about expressing what Weyburn has to offer on the marketplace, be it from the priorities and strategic planning sessions. Those pieces need to go forward. We also need to make sure that we're competitive across the entire province. As someone said earlier, when people are coming, there's a real competitive nature to this. Economic development is truly a long game. It's not about one and done. You have to have a long-term plan in order to get it done. So it's not about one simple thing.
Mr. Brendan, discussion.
I think a lot of times when we're around the table, issues comes down to what we think the issue is. And what I'm willing to do is go and have a conversation with the business people, with the new businesses, with the businesses that did come to our community, and ask the hard questions, and not shy away from the difficult answers that they give us, and be able to look at those and try to find the patterns and the reasons why people aren't coming and why they did come, so that we can grow on the good things and change the bad things. But it takes getting feet to the pavement, making the phone calls, getting to the kitchen table and having those conversations, and willing to hear, not just off some of the concerns that people have, actually taking them and thinking about them and finding the solution and helping our community to grow and become more inviting and retaining the businesses and the community and the families that we would like to have in our community.
Thank you. What has motivated you to run for city council? And we begin with Mr. Larry Hicks.
Thanks. It's something I wanted for years. I mean, it's part of my life, politics, I love it. Chamber of Commerce giving me an opportunity to build upon that with the business community, people in general. I love the city. I want to see it grow. I'm a proud supporter and a long-term resident. I truly intend on going nowhere. So that's what's really motivating, is to make it better for everyone.
Sure, that's good.
What
first came to Weyburn, there were some things that I feel like we could improve. You know, where are things and so on. And one of the first people who kind of helped me was Dick Mick. Dick, been serving on the airport committee with him for a while, and he spoke about, you know, the sidewalks, walking each of the sidewalks, checking and going to talk to people at their house, knocking door to door, and talking to people even at the ring. And I've been given that support by Dick and also many of the other counselors and leaders in this community over the past year for a project I was on representing Saskatchewan for looking at new policies and stuff. And with that support, I want to give back. I know that that support didn't come for free, and those people took the time and to help me. I want to use what I've learned and use what I'm learning from everyone in this community to put actionable change to some of the things that we've experienced through COVID, so we can improve our community for the long term.
Mr. Brandon, discussion.
So recently I had a change in the transition of my work. I contracted to miners at Press Homes a long time, and as you all know, they wound down that business, and I have more time on my plate. I wasn't able to run in the previous school board election because of the amount of time that I was working. And to be honest, I was thinking, well, what do I love to do? I love to serve people. I love being part of government. I enjoy going through procedures and policy, and I love fighting for the underdog. I like seeing the underdog story. We aren't really an underdog story, but I like to fight for people and wanting to get involved when I've seen that there's an opening. And it's unfortunate what happened with Dick. I've known Dick for a while. He actually hired me to work for miners when he was still working for miners, and even when he managed the lumber store. And I thought, what a great way to help fill in the shoes for him and help serve what he did. And I love going for coffee with him at McDonald's, and something I like to continue on as well. It's just something I really enjoy doing, and seeing opportunity, and decided to take advantage of that.
And Mr. Peter.
I came to Weyburn in 1982 as an 18-year-old kid. I was able to arrest people, but I wasn't able to get into the bar. And times have changed a lot since then. That's a very true story. 37 years later, I'm still here. I'm wanting to help people. I've been on committees. I've been chairman of the school board through some tough times. We had leaky roofs. We had teacher strikes. We had all sorts of things. But I was there and I wanted to help people. Someone on the street corner wants to talk to me, I'll talk to them. I'll do what I can to help them. But it's all about me coming here as an 18-year-old, living here, staying here, raising my family here. I'm not going anywhere. I like helping people, and that's what's motivated.
Thank you. And then we'll open if there's any questions from the floor.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's. Thank you, gentlemen, for bringing it forward. Now, had you been on city council the past 3 years, would you have voted for the city's vaccination and masking policy? Yes, or why and why not? Thank you.
And we'll begin with Mr. Mayor.
That's the toughest question of the day. The provincial government mandated, and I was involved with the court process at that time. People being charged for not masking, and people being charged for having too many people in their residence, and that's still great with the court. My own personal views, would I have voted for the policy? I think, no, I would not have. But would I have suggested that it's a choice of the person to either vaccinate or mask? Absolutely. My wife was not able to vaccinate because she's allergic and would have been told that I was able to. The only reason I vaccinated is because I go see my kids and grandkids in the States. It was a terrible time for everyone. But to defend the city, they were mandated by the government, the provincial government, the federal government. And when you have a pandemic, there are rules that you have to follow. Personal opinions aside.
Superintendent Kitchell.
I would have voted no, and I would have taken a stance and phoned, and I did phone our provincial representative and federal representative for the sheer reason that I believe it's personal choice. If somebody wants to wear a mask, then they should be able to wear a mask without being coming under scrutiny for that. If somebody doesn't want to, then I believe that as well. I also believe that we need to make sure we have full access to all the information that is available so people can make an educated decision, and we need to cut through all the fluff that is put out there, because there's a lot of misinformation on all sides. We need to make sure that the right information gets out there. Me personally, my niece ended up coming down with a terrible issues. She came down with seizures because of the vaccination. We don't know every situation, and we can't force on everybody what our position is for another. But we have to assume that everybody's making the best decision that they can with the information that they have. And that's what that free country is about.
Now, Mr. Tessier.
Thank you for the question. So this, as I said, this was a provincial and Canadian initiative for mask. And at that time, COVID wasn't fully understood. We had different things, and some of the times during COVID, there would be significant amounts of people in the hospital and then changes. Where you would have over amounts of people. And having worked with some of those folks, would have I voted for it? Yes. At that time, there wasn't enough clear information, there was misinformation, there was information provided in all sorts of different dynamics. And we needed some level of response, because right at that time was right when the vaccines were being rolled out. When you get those layers of protection for our citizens, you get the ability to change what you do. And then you can give people a personal choice for what decisions they make once there's some safeguards in place. You know, once we moved to vaccines, we understood how to social distance, and we worked together as a community to have things available. That's when you can lean off some of those things. Thank you for the question.
And now, Mr. Weyburn.
Thank you. I would say this, the World Health Organization put the direction forward, the federal government was there, the provincial government was there, to think that the Weyburn City Council is going to somehow handicap the community and its ability to continue to work or do business, or for residents to get around. No, I mean, I absolutely haven't voted for it. I don't see, sometimes we only make decisions based on what we know at the current time. And that's the decision that was made, right, wrong, or otherwise. But the answer to your question is yes, I would.
Thank you. And with that, we'll now move on to the closing statements for each candidate. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes. And we'll begin with Mr. Tessier.
Thank you. And again, there's one step. I thank my wife, my family for supporting me during this campaign, and also Dick and many other people on council who helped bring me to this point and even helped me improve to understand what it means to door knock and those sorts of things. All of that has been greatly appreciated. So with that, the past 2 years have been extremely challenging on Weyburn. We moved away from the things that we're very good at, and we're seeing lower memberships in our community and volunteer organizations with some of the lowest business activity. Actually, the last time we had this low business activity was in 2018. We need to improve that, and we need to do that by supporting our community and volunteer organizations. When my family saw the centennial event of the Young Fellows, we should be encouraging community and volunteer organizations to support our community and do events like that. So when we have big build projects going on in our community, people can see this is Weyburn. And I think that is some of the things that we can improve on. The way I would do that is simple. Right now, there is community and volunteer grants from a federal or provincial level that are hardly even being accessed. We don't need to increase the tax base to get more cash to Weyburn. We need to get these grants and get that cash available to us. 2, cut the red tape for our business environment. Our businesses, I went to Waybags, I went to many different events in the past little bit. Every single one of them mentions this. When our business community mentions this, they bring it up to other people, it develops into this large scale rumor, and then people won't even look at Weyburn as a place to start business when they're considering the alternate places in southeast Saskatchewan. That can happen. We need Weyburn to redefine what it means to be the opportunity city, and how we do that is dedicated support to businesses, community organizations, and volunteers, so we can redefine what it means to be our opportunity city for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Larry Hayes.
Thanks. First off, I'd like to thank Monica and her team, Weyburn Chamber Board, Weyburn Business Community. This is just one more way in which that business community gives back, giving us the opportunity as candidates to have a forum to speak to. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the other people who put their name forward. I've said many times, sitting on that side of the table, you genuinely put it all out there to do this, and I can tell you now that that's a true statement. Although we're here, some unfortunate circumstances, stepping back, long-term council, Dick Winkle, a gentleman that I consider to be a mentor of mine, a long-term resident, great community supporter. I'd just like to take an opportunity to thank him as well. That being said, I'm also a long-term resident and a huge champion in this community, and I'm proud of that. I have a passion for this community that's second to none, really. I have a long-term passion for politics as well, and that political interaction has allowed me to have the ability to be with municipalities, provincial leaders, and even MPs across the province who will give the city another opportunity for discussion at a higher table. I understand community development, economic development, and I understand what that means to the taxpayers. My approach to getting things done is something that I'm proud of, and I have a real ability to get that done. I'm not here to make any promises that I can't keep, and in fact, I won't make any promises that I can't keep. I'll only make one promise, and that's if you elect me on May 31st, you'll have a hard-working, long-term champion for your community. Thanks.
Now, Mr. David Hudson.
This is all about representing the people that have concerns, the people that were concerned about the roads, people who are concerned about their garbage pickup, people who are concerned about the ER closing. This is 2023, an ER should never close. Does the city have say in that? Absolutely. You stomp our feet, pound our fists and say, this is nuts. We've got a brand new hospital. ER, you can't staff it, figure it out. ER should not close. But you could go to Esplanade. No, that doesn't happen. This is about supporting law enforcement, safety. It's National Police Week. You know, I'm a big fan of the cops. I was one for 35 years, and I'm going to always be one. And we have to have a safe community. It's changed a lot since I was that 18-year-old soft-nosed kid walking around with the uniform, handing out tickets like crazy. We have drugs, we have a lot of worse stuff. The police chief is sitting in this audience right now. I want to commend him for the good work that he's done with the men and women here to keep our community safe, and city council can do that. We have to support local business. We have to do what's right. I love this community. Yeah, I'm stirring the pot a little bit here this campaign, but I think it needs to be done. Not everything is wonderful. There are things that need to be changed, need to be fixed. I'd be one of 7. You can't go in lone wolf and all of a sudden you're going to make all the decisions. No, you have to be able to work with everyone and get those roads fixed and get those things done that need to be done. Get fair taxes, equal representation, transparency we talked about. You name it, it's there. And if you decide to vote for me on May 31st, I'll be the people's representative. Thank you.
And now, Mr. David Hudson.
Here in Weyburn, we have a great community, and we have a lot of resources for us to be able to use, whether it's farming community, whether it's minerals and deposits and oil and people itself. We have the resources needed in order to overcome the challenges that we are facing at the time, whether it be taxes or inflation, whether it be the potholes that we're losing tires on in our community. There's a way to find solutions, and we have to run to work hard to do that, whether it's at a local level in front of the city hall, expressing our concerns and our complaints, or whether it's going to the provincial level or even the federal level. We need to stand up to these issues that we are facing and do it in a unified form. As an elected representative, I will work hard to evaluate the processes and the procedures that are currently being used to operate our city, to partner with the various businesses, with the various resources like football teams, our economic growth teams, our parties that provide the resources to draw families in. I will find solutions and innovations to make Weyburn a competitive and attractive city for people and businesses to love, to live, and to thrive in. My name is Brandon Tuchkowski, and I'll work my damnedest to get your concerns met and represent you the way that you want to be represented.
Thank you, gentlemen. I now like to call back on Reed Anderson for the closing remarks of today's board.
Okay, gentlemen, I just want to say thank you for your dedication, your commitment to the city. We appreciate you letting me stand, and best of luck on May 31st. Thank you for everyone who came in to attend, those watching online. I just want to remind, this will be airing again on the 24th, 26th, and 29th at 7 p.m. That's right. And we'll let everybody get back to their day. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.